All right, then. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. The Department of State Services has granted administrative bail to the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, following his arrest on Monday morning at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Ajaero was on his way to the United Kingdom for an official engagement when he was detained, sparking widespread condemnation from various organizations, civil society groups, activists, and prominent individuals. The NLC had denounced Ajaero's arrest as brazen and illegal and a clear violation of workers' rights and democratic values, calling for his prompt and unconditional release. The National Administrative Council of the NLC, led by Deputy President Adeyonju Adewale, issued an ultimatum demanding his release last night. Well, Nigerians have since weighed in on the matter. The first tweet there reads, "The fact that it took Joe Ajaero's arrest for you to demand items 2 to 4 is appalling. This reinforces the widespread perception that NLC headquarters, NLC is not a serious organization. It's been about a week since being baptized with the harrowing experience of petrol costs." The next tweet there reads, "I hope agitations for these demands will still be sustained now that Joe Ajaero has been released. The NLC is an integral part of the Nigerian problem, always compromising where radical stances should be made on critical issues affecting the Nigerian people." The next tweet there reads, "The ongoing tensions between the Tinubu administration and NLC reflect a broader dissatisfaction with the government's economic policies and compromises by Labour leaders. The arrest of Ajaero by the DSS demonstrates how much the NLC has lost its reputation among Nigerian workers." And the final one there reads, "But he was under investigation and asked to remain in the country. Why tempt fate by attempting to travel? Let him answer to any allegations and clear his name. This is the Tinubu era. He should manage it while we manage the 70K they offered us." Still on DSS, the operatives of the DSS took the control of the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, also on Monday, as the organization described as an unlawful occupation. SERAP has since called on President Bola Tinubu to direct the DSS to end the intimidation, harassment, and attack against the threat of arrest against its directors. SERAP also warned that failure to do so would attract legal actions both nationally and internationally. The invasion of SERAP's office followed the organization's call on Tinubu's government to reverse the recent increase in petrol prices and investigate the alleged corruption and mismanagement of the NNPCL. SERAP's Deputy Director Kolawale Oluwadare stated that the organization would not be silenced or intimidated by such actions. DSS is active. They're working. Yes.
The first is Joe Ajaero, NLC president. The narrative out there is that this is a case of intimidation as a result of the leadership role that Joe Ajaero continues to play as president of the Labour Congress. Now, in November, he was arrested. That's November 2023, on account of what was alleged to be his intervention in the non-payment of salary arrears or salaries, as it were, in Imo State. Then, of course, on that occasion, you'll recall that he was brutalized. And then, most recently, he was also invited for questioning by the Nigeria Police Force. I think he was accompanied to the police headquarters by Mr. Femi Falana SAN, yes, by DJ Adeyonju, and by a number of concerned Nigerians who thought that his invitation by the police was a case, again, of intimidation. Now we have this third episode of he being arrested on his way to the United Kingdom to attend an invitation, to attend a meeting of the International Trade Union. Now, the story as established, and we have had Benson Ukpa, head of information of NLC, on this program this morning, and Deborah Oshoma. He said, well, he was not told what his offense was. He had not been invited. Now, the story on the other side is different. So there's some confusion as to exactly what happened. What is certain is that he was arrested by the DSS, And according to him, in the report, the DSS, they grilled him over what they call terrorism financing. The police also went there and grilled him over what they consider to be his participation or his involvement either in the planning or actual action in the End Bad Governance protest in August. Now, they seized his passport. Mr. Ajaero, as Labour leader, of course, has received sympathy from Amnesty International. What we can say is that under President Tinubu's watch, we should not have any form of repression. People's rights should be respected. The other story that you brought up is the story of SERAP. SERAP is a leading NGO fighting for economic rights, transparency, accountability, noted for taking many cases to court. Now, what the DSS has said in that instance is that what they did was just a routine investigation. They sent 2 officers to the office. They say it's not a raid. They say it's not illegal. They say it's not unlawful, and that it is traditional. How traditional is it to just send officers to go and investigate without any prior notification? But you can be sure that SERAP, noted for the dynamism of his lawyers, has the capacity, to defend its rights. But generally, the umbrella point is that, look, it is not good, it is not democratic to have government intimidating voices of opposition, because that will contract the civic space. The civic space in this country needs to be expanded in the interest of all.
All right, then. All right, let's move on very quickly to the next story. The Kaduna Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned Mr. Ibrahim Shuaibu before the Justice Darius Kobo of Kaduna State High Court, sitting in Kaduna for fraud. Shuaibu is being prosecuted on a 7-count charge bordering on criminal breach of trust, impersonation, and obtaining by false pretense to the tune of 100 million naira. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges when they were read to him, prompting the prosecution counsel to urge the court to fix a trial date. His counsel, Abdul Karim Audu, failed to file a bail application. Now, this particular story actually has been on for some time, since about 2017, when he presented himself as his victim to NNPCL's group executive director. But now he has actually been arraigned by 100 million naira, faking an NNPCL director.
This is almost comedic in nature, but also I think on both sides it exposes 2 things. Number one, the greed and the falsehood of the man in question. I mean, let me say he's innocent until proven guilty, so let me not be too quick to say that the greed or innocence. He will have his time in court. He has pleaded not guilty. But the evidence as presented, or the story as presented by the EFCC, is that this young man posed as the group executive director of NNPCL, and his client had promised his client 2,000 liters of petrol, and that person had subsequently paid money into his account for it. It was when he didn't get the fuel or the petrol that he found, then he discovered that this person must be a criminal, and then he was picked up. On the other side is what happens when there's no transparency or order of things. For the person who patronized a group ED to expect that he could get, because of course most of the things must have been done under the table, to have been able to purchase that level of petrol is in itself. So the man, both of them, I don't know who is more greedy, who is out of both of them, because you wanted something, didn't go through the due process, and then you're upset. So it's Connie man at the end of the day. But this is the work of the EFCC, where we can see they've gathered enough evidence and they've taken him to court, and hopefully he would have his time in court and justice will prevail. And also, as a deterrent, what we've often called for is this. Not only do we see these criminals who are just trying to outsmart others, but even the bigger criminals. Earlier today we had brought up the question, and we mustn't forget people like the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. We mustn't forget cases like that. We want to see big indictments.
Yes.
But when it's done well, it's not just the faces of men like Nuhu Ibrahim Shuaibu that we want to see. We want to see the big ones who are stealing, millions of treasures of Nigerians. That's what we want to see. But let's see how this pans out.
Rufai.
I mean, the case is very clear, as you wanted. The EFCC have done their investigation. Let's see how all of this pans out. But the truth is, and like Ayo said, there's an element of greed. I mean, for the person that even bought the product, when did an NNPC ED start to sell petrol? Is it a filling station in the first place? And you see, that's the kind of gullibility that happens in this country. That's why it was said of one pastor recently too that was telling people that he was selling miracle